Okay, so recently I did a video talking about how a lot of people are caught in a situation where they cannot afford to sell their cars, and some of them resort to an arrangement what we call Sambung Baya. Now, before I get into the rest of the video, let me make this disclaimer. Sambung Baya is illegal. Please don't do it. Please, please, please don't do it. Okay? But the purpose of my video is to explain why people are doing it and also what are the risks involved for both buyer and seller if you lock yourself into a Sambung Baya agreement. You see, why do people do Sambung Baya? Very simple. As I explained in my previous video, these are people in a situation where they are caught where they are struggling to pay off the loan of their car. At the same time, the value, the resale value of their car is less than what they owe the bank. So even if they want to get rid of this commitment, what's going to happen is that in order for them to be able to let go of the car, they first need to they have to top up the difference between the value that they sell their car for versus what they owe the bank. Okay? And that's the situation where a lot of them, they cannot afford to fork out that cash. But problem is, the banks will not allow you to sell the car if you do not settle the loan in full. So it is these people who are caught in this situation where they're struggling to pay their loan, they cannot afford to make a full settlement, hence why they resort to a Sambung Baya arrangement. So in a Sambung Baya arrangement, what happens is that the car still remains legally registered under the seller. Why? Because loan not settled, cannot name transfer. So car still remains under the seller name, but the buyer takes over the payment of the loan. Sounds simple, sounds easy, right? But the risks involved, okay, the kind of risks that you are exposing yourself to, whether you are a buyer or seller, makes this a very, very dangerous arrangement. See, what if you're, so let's put yourself in the position of the seller. Someone out there is using your car, without you knowing where and what that person is doing. Now, if that person is using it for just to drive around, you're still okay. What if the fella speeding? What if the fella just simply park and then kena saman? Worse still, what if that car is being used to commit crime, smuggle drugs, robbery, any police case, the first person that they call after they trace the number plate is you, because you are the registered owner of the car. And what if the other party don't pay the installments as promised? Then how? Car you don't have, then now suddenly you have a loan that either has defaulted or you still buta have to pay because the other person who promised to pay never pay, right? So just these risks alone makes Sambung Baya a highly risky proposition for the seller. What about for the buyer? Buyer also got risks, okay? Not as bad, but there's still risks. Number one, this car is, well, it's not in your name, okay? It's not in your name, okay? Anytime, the actual owner of the car has the legal right to repossess the car. Okay, so the thing is that the law does not recognize any agreement that says you lend the car to that person, whatnot. No, as a legal owner of the car, the seller can take the car back anytime, even if you have been diligent in paying the installments. So even so means that, let's say for example, if you have been an honorable buyer and you just pay, there really is nothing to stop the other party from taking the car back at any time, and there is nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay, and let's put it this way also. The other factor is the other party. Okay, the fact that the person has to resort to Sambung Baya to sell the car means that that person is probably, well, not financially in the best of shape. Okay, what if creditors come tracking you based on the car's registration? What if the owner, Hutang Along, okay, the loan shark come and find you based on your car, find the owner based on your car? Then how? It is a very, very sticky situation to be in. And the other thing is, what if road tax and insurance are not renewed? So so not only are you paying the loan on behalf of someone else for a car that does not belong to you and can be taken back from you anytime, there is a high risk that there are other hidden risks involved that simply would not be there if you have just bought the car outright. You know, as in like complete name transfer to you, everything. And I know, like, there are some people like Bobby, for example, has this practice of whenever he buy a used car, even if he buy a used car, he will change the number plate of the car. Why? Because he wants a clean cut, the car to have a clean cut break from the previous owner. Okay, so but I also understand why people purchase cars this way. See, a lot of people who use the Sambung Bayar arrangement, who buy cars using Sambung Bayar, right? They are people who could not get loan from the bank to start with due to whatever reason, whether it's financial or legal. But these are people who cannot take loan from the bank one. Okay, so this is the next best arrangement available to them. Now, then of course, there's also the other scenario whereby it's, you know, family members, uh, let's say like parents or siblings or whatever, they buy the car and then, you know, they want to pass it to another family member. That one's still okay because family ma, right? Not to say that there's no risk of you of the family member defaulting, but at least it is someone that you know is within your circle. You can track that person down. Okay, like my wife, for example, when we bought the Persona a few years ago, we her saga was passed over to her sister. Her sister just started working, no way to take loan, so she just continued to service the loan for on my wife's behalf, and you know, and we paid for our own car. But that was okay because my sister-in-law at that time was staying with us, so there's no way she can lari, right? How many how many of you are in that position whereby the person who's supposed to sambung baya your loan is staying in the same house under you, or even in the same social circle as you? It is a very, very dangerous, very, very risky situation. So, I mean, of course, the best advice to say is the easiest thing for you to say is don't get into a situation where you need to sambung baya at all. Okay, that's the easiest thing to do, but not the most compassionate thing to do, because I mean, granted, people make mistakes, right? There's no point to blame. You got yourself into a loan that for whatever reason you cannot afford and you need to get it off your back. That is real. Okay, but what I'm saying is this Sambung Bayar practice, make no mistake about it, okay, it is illegal. The risks involved, okay, is extremely high. Okay, it's even if it seems to make sense to you right now, right? The kind of trouble that you can get yourself into down the road, it's really not worthwhile. And it's probably more worthwhile for you to just go and somehow find a way to 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 get the difference money and get rid of the car outright. Okay, so yeah, well, of course, those if you are not in a position where you need to sambung baya, so here's a bit of course advice on how to prevent yourself into getting that position. As I stated in my previous video, my recommendation, okay, a lot of people say that the problem is all these 7-year loan, 9-year loan things. My view is that, right, it's not really the tenure of the loan, it's how much you borrow. So my practice, and this is not certified financial advice, but my practice when it comes to financing the purchase of your car, okay, don't go with 90% loan, okay? Put a slightly bigger down payment, big enough to cover the first 1-2 years of your car's depreciation. Okay, that way, that gives you that flexibility that you can liquidate the car anytime without having to top up the bank. Because what's most important is, I mean, yeah, sometimes you just want to have that dream car, but the bare minimum of what you can do to ensure that you don't get snared in a situation where you have to resort to Sambung Bayar is to plot your exit. Okay, is to plot your exit, is to make sure that anytime you can walk away without having to lose more money. Okay, so yeah, it's a very simple process. Okay, when you before you buy your car, just before you apply for a loan, go to Muda, go to car list, look at how much a car that is 2 years older than what you're currently buying. Let's say like you're buying a brand new Vios, for example. Look at how much 2-year Vioses are going for and don't loan more than that amount. So it means that let's say, so what this happens is, what this ensures is that let's say that 18 months later, you suddenly need to sell the car off, you are pretty safe in that you don't have to top up the bank, or you don't have to top up an exorbitant amount to the bank. Because what you want is, you want to be able, at a bare minimum, to be able to walk out without having to put in more money. But the reality also is this lah. When it comes to selling cars, right, especially if you sell to a used car dealer, the dealer will want to tekan your price as much as possible. Right? So the thing is, if you are selling your car right now and you want to get back to as close as possible to the market value, you can fill up a form in the description section below. I'm working together with a group of used car dealers to help people sell their cars by consignment basis. So what this means is that instead of buying the car outright from you, we are helping you to sell the car on your behalf. And because the used car dealer is not the one forking out money to purchase the car outright, what this means is that you as the seller, you can get a bit more money back from your car. Now, of course, the effectiveness of this program does vary from car to car depending on your market value, your how much you owe the bank, what's the current condition of your car. Okay, but fill up the form in the description section. Our team will be in touch. There's no obligations, just that we'll be asking for your vehicle registration details, for your photos, to do a quick assessment to see how much more we can get from the selling price of your car. Hopefully, it makes a difference to you from having to top up money to the bank to having to get money back from selling your car, and uh, whether it's going to the down payment for your next car or to fund for your other projects and activities. Okay, so yeah, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.